Hello, and welcome to the Shadowrock Video Audio Technician Training video series. This first video is going to be a general walkthrough on how to power on all of the systems and get everything operational to the point of surface operation. The first step is we want to come back here to our audio video area. This is where we control the projector and the audio system with the mixer here. Under the desk is a power strip, which this will power on all of the audio equipment. And we'll just flip that on. This turns on the mixer, which is a Yamaha MG24. Powers on the DBX unit, which this is an integrated unit that has multiple components. It has a audio balancer, so it balances the left and right speakers. It has a auto EQ, so it'll automatically adjust the frequencies of the audio system for the room. And we'll go through another session on just the mixer and the audio system at a later point. This first video is just going to be how to power on and get the entire system ready. There'll be some more additional videos on just the audio system, the video presentation system, which is this Mac here, which controls the projector and the contents on the main screen. We have a camera, which we'll be showing you how to set up here, that does live feeds to multiple rooms in the area. And then we also have a system called MyDMX, which powers the lights that can give us different colors, and you'll see that in operation here in a second. So since we've powered on the power strip, which powers on the audio system, the next thing we can power on is the projectors. We have two. We have the main one here, and usually the remotes are just kept up on this desk or somewhere here close. And we'll just press on. See the light turn here. There we go. So it's flashing. So that projector is coming on. We also have a Dell projector that's right up here that feeds the back screen, which is used for order of service. As the service goes through, a person, either yourself or another, will be scrolling through Planning Center as the event goes on, giving everybody at the stage cues on how the service proceeds. So we'll power this guy on. A little blue light came on. Okay, so the Mac is usually at a logged on state. If not, the user account that we want to log on as is Shadowrock. If you don't have the password, please see one of the pastors, Craig, Ed, or Devin, and they will give you the password to log on to the Mac. Currently, we have a couple different outputs set up here. We have on the back, let's see if I can show it to you, we have a couple HDMI. This HDMI feeds directly to a HDMI extender unit, and there's quite a few different ones back here, and I'll show you those in a second. This one runs Cat5, and it goes and how it's connected to the main projector up there. The second HDMI here, this guy, feeds into a little switch box back here, and the switch box has a little remote, and this lets you change the usage of this monitor. This monitor can act as a second monitor, or actually it's a third monitor for the Mac. And you'll notice that right now everything is mirroring. So that is something that we have to turn off as we turn these things on. The second feed will be from the camera. So you can actually see a live feed from the camera of how the other live feeds are going. So since we're here now, what we want to do is we want to go into display properties, and we want to turn off the mirroring so that these three monitors don't act as one. To do that, we want to go into System Preferences, and then into Displays, and then under the Arrangement tab, we want to uncheck Mirror Displays. If all of the monitors were left on at the time that the Mac is booted up, it will remember those settings, but since both the projector and this side monitor were off, the Mac lost the settings, and it is something that we have to adjust. So if you click on a screen here, you'll see how there's a red border. Well, the second one is currently the projector, and then the third one is our little side screen over here. Can't really see it too well. So what I find works best is if we drag, this is our HP, let me gather these here. So these are our 3 different monitors. We have the Optima, which is the projector. We have the HP, which is our little side monitor here. So we want to drag this guy, or I should say, we want to drag this middle one and stick it over here on the right. So the way that we have these guys arranged, and this is kind of funky here, is we have our main screen, our Mac. The next one over is our side screen, and then the third one is our projector. This way, we can easily, the purpose of the side monitor over here is to drag primarily the lighting program. We use MyDMX, which is this little blue icon right here, to control the lights, and we also use Audacity to record the service. During the presentation or the video on actual running the service, we'll go through exactly how we set up the screens, we start the software, and get things going for the service. This first video here is primarily just how to get things set up, turned on, and activated. So at this point, you can see I'm moving the mouse, and it goes right onto the second screen, and if I was to keep going across, it'll be up on the projector. Okay, so now that we have the video screens all activated, next thing we want to do is go and power on all of the front of house speaker system, or I should say the stage. We always want to turn on the mixer in the back of house system first. We never want to power on the speakers before we power on the mixer and the DBX system, because that could cause damage to the speakers. So always make sure that you flip this back switch to power on all this equipment first, and then we'll go up to the stage and we'll power on the stage equipment. You'll notice that one of these lights here is solid red, this guy here. And what this is actually we don't know why, but the way these are the wireless mics. This is wireless mic 3, which is this guy here. There's also one up on the stage. There's wireless mic 2. And then these bottom guys are the earworm, or the receivers that the pastors use that goes over their ear. For some reason, if it doesn't sense the receivers, or say the transmitters right here, it'll just start peaking out and having a problem. So to mute these, on this side, on the receiver side, you just press this button here, and then you press set, and it mutes these on the receiver side. So you got to be careful to unmute those at time of service. So now you'll see that the lights are not off. Not sure why that happens. We'll probably have to look into that. But anyway, we're good to go up to the stage. And I'm going to pause. Okay, we are up on the stage now. We got our speakers that are up high. And on the stage are 4 monitors. We got a monitor on the left, on the right. We have one over by the keyboards, and we have one over here by the drums. The main switch to power on the upper speakers is right here on the wall. So we'll turn that on. And then for all of the monitors, we'll have to power those on manually. They all have a switch, either on the side or on the back. These guys, it's on the back. And turn these guys on here. And then these rear ones are on the side. A little dark. Okay. The sub, which is right here, we always leave that on just because it's kind of a pain to get in the back. There is a power switch in the back, and usually it is left on. If not, you're going to want to check that. The last thing is the keyboard. Usually we don't power on the keyboard, but the power switch, in case you're looking for it, is right there. Okay, so at this point, the entire audio system is powered on, and the projectors are on, and we will then proceed to connecting up the camera. Okay, back at the audio-visual desk here. Under the desk is a camera case, inside the camera case is, of course, our camera. This is what we use for the live video feeds back to the other TVs. And if we wanted to record a service, that's how we would record a service. On the tripod is a set of 4 cables. We have power, HDMI, we have a audio feed from the mixing board. So there's a cable that goes from the mixing board, which is this little red one with the little red mark, and I'll show you where that goes. And then we have a return so that with our headphones we could listen to the live feed audio feed in case it's too quiet, if there's noises, things like that. It gives us the ability to listen to how the recordings are going and, you know, essentially the feed from the mixer board. So let me show you where these cables plug in. Over here on this side, you'll see that there's a little flap right here, and this is where the HDMI cable goes. Up here, these 2 flaps to the left of that is where the audio out, where the headphones go. That's also where the power cable is. Then up on top, up here, is we want to unplug this one, and this is where the audio input goes from the mixing board. So let me hook this up and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we have the audio cables hooked up here. We have our red input with a little red marker. This is the feed from the mixer. We have our HDMI cable, our power cable, and then our headphones cable. Please note that there is a manual cap on the lens that you'll need to take off, and usually we just keep that in the box case here. Okay. So once you get everything hooked up with the camera, we want to flip this door open, and then on the right hand side is the power on switch. So we want to power that on. And what will happen is usually the lens will change. Turn the lights on here. The lens will change while it's being put away. So we typically want to grab this manual front ring, which this is a manual zoom, and we want to zoom it in until you can't really see the lights that are up on top. So what we can do now is we should be able to switch our little box here to switch the screen over to our video feed. Okay. Now you will see this message that says out of range, and that has to do with the fact that the TVs that are hooked up require, I believe it's 1080i in order to function properly from this camera. However, this monitor is looking for 1080p, and it works. So anyway, we want to then align the camera so that we're in the center, and let's see. So at this point, it's looking pretty good. We want the singer to kind of be in the center. We don't really want to see this camera, the lights too much, but that's pretty good. So now we have our live feed set up, and what we can do is now go to the other TVs and power those on and get our other TVs going. Okay, so there are a total of 4 televisions that have been set up for our live feed. This is the conference room. We have the front lobby that we don't feed the live feeds to those two. We don't do it to the conference room or the lobby. We'll show you the lobby here in a second. What we do is feed the preschool and the infants. So to turn on the TVs, just a power switch on the side. Right there. And usually if whatever the volume was at, I usually lower very low, down to like 1 or 2, so that there's not much noise coming out of it, or music I should say. And then whoever's running, the preschool, the infants, can turn up the volume to whatever volume they like. Oh, there's our first TV. So the infants, it looks like it's on HDMI 1. The preschool to the right is on HDMI 2. And those inputs should never change. Those are the only things that are connected to these TVs. The way these TVs are connected back, all four of them, are using HDMI over Ethernet cable. So there's two Ethernet cables that are run from each of these TVs back to the audio-visual desk, and behind the iMac you'll see all these little transmitters. So that's how the signal is getting out to all the different TVs. For the lobby TV, we want to turn that on, and we want to enable the slideshow. And to do that, there is two remotes that are always kept on this desk. And you can see the little Apple TV up there. Okay, so the slideshow is currently running. If it wasn't, how you start the slideshow, I'm just pressing menu to get completely back, is you want to go into Flickr. So we go into Flickr, and then we choose Pastor Craig, SRC, and La Quinta. And then up on top, if you scroll over and up, you can click on Slideshow, Start Slideshow, and there you go. So that's how you start the lobby display. Okay, we are back here at the AV desk again, and one last thing is we have this rear projecting screen, and what this is used for, as mentioned before, was the Planning Center order of service. There'll be either yourself through the iMac, the back here, or another user will be skipping through, controlling the audio or the order of service through Planning Center. What this does is this gives everybody on the stage what's coming up next and the timing for all the events. That is controlled by a little iMac, well, pretty big iMac, here back in the corner, which is then remote controlled through desktop sharing, either through another iPad or through the iMac here. One thing that I'd like to mention is the transmitter for the lighting system. The MyDMX is this little box here in the back, plugs into the back of the Mac. And then there's a cable that runs up to this transmitter. This transmitter then transmits up to the projector, and on top of the projector is the little receiver there. From the receiver, there's a daisy chain between all the different lights for the DMX system. We want to make sure that this light's blinking very rapidly. If it is not, that means that the transmitter and receiver have lost sync. And unfortunately, to get them to auto pair or pair back again, you have to get up and bring the receiver within usually 10 feet of the transmitter to get them to sync up. And there's just a button that you push, but usually they have to be within short distance. Okay, well that covers the power on sequence for all of the audio and visual equipment for Shadow Rock Church. To turn everything off, you want to do everything in reverse order. You want to go ahead and shut off all the TVs. You can power off the camera, and then just leave the cables hanging down, putting the camera back in the case with the lens cap on, and then back under the desk. Then you want to make extra special care that you turn off the wall switch to power off the main speakers and all of the monitors first, and then you want to come back and then switch off the power switch to power off all of the front of house audio equipment. And that would conclude the power on and power off sequencing for Shadow Rock Church.